Hello awesome people, what is going on? It is BradPhusion here and welcome to Skyrim Legacy. So whilst I make my way towards Whiterun, I'm actually going to explain to you guys the premise of this series, both the goal I want to acquire or achieve, as well as the limitations I will actually have to overcome throughout this series. So first things first, my goal as my character here is to acquire something called the Forbidden Legend. Now, the only thing I know about it is that there is a book in Whiterun that details where exactly this treasure or treasures may be. Now, my limitations, let's begin with the most major one, is that it is a permadeath type scenario, basically meaning if I die, I die. Now there are a few things to make that a little easier on myself, but I'll explain them in a second. The next main limitation is this is a survival of sorts, not just with the permadeath aspect, but with the aspect of the fact that I have hunger and thirst to worry about, as well as hypothermia and other situations like that. Now, I'm probably gone off the path completely here, but I'll resume talking anyways. So, over time, my character will have to succumb to his needs, basically. So he gets thirsty, he gets hungry, he needs to sleep, he gets cold, he gets hot, so on and so forth, and I have to counteract these as best as I can without actually dying from them as well, because I know it is extremely possible to do so. The other limitations I have is the lack of a HUD, the lack of the ability to use my questing system, which would help me greatly, but I will be avoiding that at great cost, meaning that I'll have to refer to lore and dialogue as much as I can to actually find what I need to find. So basically, to find the Forbidden Legend, I'll have to research it as best as I can, using as many books as I find. Anything that can refer to it, I'll try to do that as best as I can to find it without having to use the questing system itself. This might be a difficult challenge because I know how easy it is to die in this game, and the weather system now has been overhauled as well. I've got plenty of mods installed. If you guys are curious about the mods I'm using, you can download them from the description, as I have a collection built specifically for this mod pack, basically. So again, going back to what exactly I was talking about, I don't have a questing system of sorts. I don't have any HUD elements that can help me in any way when it comes to that. If I go to my map right now, you guys can see that whilst it kind of shows my current location, it isn't necessarily too helpful, as if I navigate away, obviously I'll get slightly confused. But as far as I know right now, I'm heading on the right way to get towards Whiterun. I only know of one way to get there, and that is basically kind of not so much crossing over and up the mountain, but that might be what I'm heading towards doing right now. Hopefully this journey won't be the hardest of journeys I have to do, as it will involve me crossing over some cold environments, and that again is another impediment of this series, the fact that there is cold weather, and cold weather isn't exactly going to be too good for me. Now again, I do have a few things to counteract what I was talking about before. Clothing can help against the cold, sleeping obviously helps against tiredness, food and water, you can obviously guess what they're for, but I have something to actually help me when it comes to dying. So one of the first things I have is something called Immortal Dragonborn. Now this means that if I collect a dragon soul before dying, when I die I use a dragon soul to be revived, basically. So I consume a soul every single time I die, and that gives me another life. Now the other element is why this is called Skyrim Legacy, is because this will be a family-orientated type series of sorts, using my character as his family. So if I manage to wed someone before I die, basically my legacy is continued through my next of kin, or my son, basically, or daughter, whichever way it goes. But this is obviously not going to be done through mods. This is going to be done through my video editing and such skills to actually maintain this. So if I, for example, manage to retrieve one of the treasures and take that back to my house of sorts, and then I go out and then I die, anything that stays inside of my house stays there, but anything that was on my character when he dies will obviously stay where he has died, and the next character or the next of kin will only have access what is within the house to use. So whilst I'm still gaining progress, it isn't exactly too fast of a progress. So that I thought that was an interesting idea to kind of get around the idea of just if I die then the series is ended straight away. So I don't have any dragon souls, I haven't slayed any dragons, I hadn't even done the first quest, because where I actually spawned in this game was over at Riften, because I do have a kind of a randomized spawn of sorts when I come into the game. So instead of spawning me at Helgen, it instead spawns me wherever it so desires. And my first quest basically is to go to Helgen to witness the dragon leaving. Now, I'm not going to really focus on that too much, though I will have to do that obviously to acquire a dragon soul eventually by doing one of the quests there. Now, there are a few things I can do as well on this journey towards Whiterun. I do have a tent that I can set up. That tent will allow me to rest for the night and regain my fatigue that I've actually lost on this journey. I can acquire a horse, so that will cost me a fair amount of money. And again, I don't even have a crosshair when it comes to hunting targets. So the only HUD elements I actually do see, because I don't see the enemy's health bar either, the only thing I do see is my own stats. So my own health, stamina, and my magicka, as well as my ammunition and whatnot. The interface I have on right now is the immersive HUD as well as the Sky UI. That helps me kind of greatly when it comes to these sorts of elements. Obviously the immersive HUD is used to hide my HUD elements, and the Sky UI is used to make my interface look like it does right now, rather nice and simple. Now, another limitation I have, if I go to my food tab, you can see there's a certain percentage next to these numbers here, and that is basically the health status of the food. Now, food obviously in real life degrades over time. It gets stale, it gets old, it gets moldy, and that happens here as well. Now, it doesn't happen as much when I'm in cold environments, because that kind of slows down the staling or degrading process, but when I'm obviously in hot environments, food can obviously go stale a lot quicker. Some food doesn't, like the leg of goat salted doesn't necessarily degrade as much, at least it hasn't degraded on me yet. And I've quite a fair amount of stuff before doing this series, because I don't want to start out completely blank and not have anything on me at all. Now, my food and hunger and everything actually plays a big part in this as well. If I go towards my magical tab, as such, and I go over here, you can't see it right now, but basically, if I am feeling overly hydrated or overly hungry, not overly hungry, but obviously well sated, I actually gain perks for doing that, and I can show you guys that right now. So if I, for example, consume, say, let's consume a sweet roll, I am feeling sated. Now if I consume something else, this will actually benefit me even higher. It says I'm now feeling well sated. And if I go back to this category here, I actually gain increased health regeneration and damage output because I'm actually feeling great in those categories. And the same thing will happen if I consume a fair amount of water as such. And this water skin here actually allows me to consume water 3 times per water skin, and these can be refilled obviously via certain water outlets, which I think is rather great. So I actually am really helpful, really glad I actually have these water skins here. So now if I go over here, I gain the perk of well hydrated, so time between shouts is reduced, stamina and magicka regenerate at an increasing percentage, which I think is, again, really, really great. So moving on from that, there's a few other things I want to talk about as well, and that is my my backpack you see there. This is one thing I actually really like. Now, depending on what I actually have on me, my backpack changes dynamically. So if I have a tent, obviously I have the little baggie that you see down the bottom there. I have a torch that you can see the torch on the side. If I was to have an axe, you'd see the axe as well. And an axe is actually something I'd really like to have early on, because it'll allow me to harvest wood from the forest, which is part of survival elements in this game. Hopefully you're not a bad guy, but we'll see in a second here.
What can I do? Oh, did you need something?
Hello.
I'm collecting ingredients to bring to the gourmet. He'll think my taste so refined when I offer them to him. You have heard of the gourmet?
No, I have not. Never heard of him.
You've not heard
Actually,
of the gourmet?
no, I have heard of him.
Author
Sorry,
of
he was
Uncommon
mentioned
Taste?
once before.
He is a wizard with a spatula. Well, not an actual wizard, but his recipes are
I think
legendary.
I know of him, actually, yeah, so...
You know, I've heard the gourmet is in Skyrim right now.
That's interesting. Thank you for telling me. I have no idea where to find him. Maybe you can tell me, actually.
I'm collecting ingredients. You have heard... You know.
Yeah, no,
I've
he
heard
won't
the
let me
gourmet
continue the
is in
conversation.
Skyrim right now.
But I have heard of have heard of Gourmet mentioned quite a few times after having all these mods installed. I'm not entirely too sure if it's completely connected to the mods themselves, as I personally haven't actually... I've gone the wrong way. I should have detoured off completely, but I messed that up. But anyway, we can come across the bridge here and we'll be on the right way anyways. My mistake for detouring in such a weird way. But as I was saying, before I got myself accidentally detoured and was talking to the guy, I have seen the guy quite frequently, or I have heard of the guy quite frequently, but I'd never heard of him before having the mods installed. So maybe either he is connected to the mods in such a way, or I actually don't know. Let's get the honeycomb here, because I might want to consume that at some point. But this should lead me down the right path, eventually leading me towards, yes, this path here. Now this path will hopefully lead me towards a bridge, and then I'll be on my way towards Whiterun. Now the reason why I'm heading towards Whiterun is for a few reasons. The initial one is the fact that, one, I can easily get married there, as well as acquiring a woodhammer axe. Even though actually I think I can find that when I go towards Riverwood. And I can use the signs here as well, which I think is rather nice. But we won't necessarily worry about that right now. Who are you guys? You guys are Stormcloaks, aren't you? Yes.
If you know any true sons
Okay, we'll ignore them for now.
Skyrim,
I'm probably going to try to stay out of wars and such as much as I can, because my character, if I'm going down a role-playing sort of role, my character is not very strong. My character is an adventurer or an explorer. He's not so much someone who's heavily focused on combat. He can deal with combat situations. He has a bow and he has a sword, but that is basically where his skills end. He's mostly good at bartering. That confused me. I thought that was a chicken running at me. His skills, again, are rather limited, and I mostly will be focusing on increasing his bartering skills and such. Something to go along with the random respawn mod. Not the random respawn, but the random starting location mod. I think it's called Alternative Start. But basically, I can choose what classes I kind of basically start out as. So I've chosen to start out as a pilgrim, which gives me kind of increased speech, but not so much good in any other category. And I also start out with very basic weaponry, but you can choose a whole bunch of other categories there, such as a warrior, a knight, or even the spellcasters and such like that, witch hunters. They're all there and available as well, which I think is really, really nice. There is a wolf here. He doesn't seem to be after me, but yeah, now he is. Though I do love not being able to see the enemy's health HUD, or the enemy's health information. That I don't know, something scary about not knowing how much health someone has is a rather nice feeling, I think. At least to me it is, anyways. We should be coming up to where that tower is near the waterfall. My memory is slowly coming back to the game, because again, I haven't played this in such a long time. The reason why I'm kind of doing this now with a lack of memory of Skyrim is because I'm basically role-playing as a character that's going to Skyrim for the first time. Now, obviously I do remember a few landmarks here and there, but my memories of the lore, of the quests, of basic locations are actually all going to be a mist to me, which kind of suits my character's stance on Skyrim, as he just came in from another world. I guess Cyrodiil probably would be the more preferred location, since I did come from the south anyways. At least I think Cyrodiil's to the south. But I just thought this would be a nice thing to do without having to research the game as much. Obviously I've had to make sure the mods work and make sure they all play along rather fine, which they do in most cases. Also, when I'm stealthing, I can't tell if anyone sees me. I don't have the whole detected, non-detected thing, or even the eyeball. They're gonna ask me for passage, aren't they? I know that to be the case. This part I do remember, the whole tolling thing. I can engage in combat, but I do risk dying. I obviously can't really sneak past. Then again, actually, I might be able to sneak past if I go down here. But they do have a guard up there, and I think they guard on the top of the towers. But we should be hopefully able to avoid them if we just go around like such. Because again, I don't have necessarily much money on me at all. The one thing I do like is my levels. I haven't actually leveled up yet. I've been meaning to do that, but I leveled up before I started recording, so I haven't necessarily wanted to spend the skill points yet. And there we go, we've now avoided conflict. Now, I can do a few things when I'm out on the road as well, such as cooking my own food, and again, I told you guys about the tents and everything I can actually set up. There's a few other things I can do as well that I actually rather like. I can set up a campfire. I can set up a pot on top of that campfire to allow me to cook anywhere I want, basically, amongst a few other things as well. And that's what I really like about this premise of what I'm doing right now. Also, you might notice a lot more foliage than normal. I've gone crazy with mods, and again, you guys can see the collection down in the down the bottom in the description. Should I take care of you? You're running away anyways. Their skin is actually worth quite a fair amount if I do actually acquire it. Archery increase. I've been feeling a bit fatigued, but is it dead? No, you're not dead. Oh my god, you're actually still alive. I'm sorry. I should point out also that there is, how should I put it? blood is more realistic, which I think is kind of an interesting mod that I wasn't too sure if I was going to install it or not, but I actually decided to instead. Realistic ragdolls is also something I've installed, and arrow penetration, I can't remember what exactly it's called, but basically when an arrow hits on someone, it actually, you can see it actually physically hit them and in their respective place, obviously. I'm going to kill this wolf so I don't have to worry about it. I have to admit, it isn't easy firing arrows when you can't see your crosshair. It's been a little hard to try to guess, not so much guess, but try to narrow down where exactly the center of my screen is when my crosshair should be. But it is a nice feeling, I have to admit, to try to overcompensate, not overcompensate, but to compensate with not actually being able to see that by instead trying to aim at a target. Again, it's rather nice. Obviously you don't need the crosshair for, say, the swords and other weaponry like that, but I'm collecting these, by the way, because these are actually really good for crafting certain materials. I do love the foliage increase as well, and you can see the top right there, that's my temperature gauge. On the right side it has my heat, and on the left side it has my coldness. Once the heat runs out, the coldness meter starts to fill up, but I do have a little bit of resistance against that, simply by having warmer clothing on. If I go to my inventory, you can actually see my exposure protection down the bottom here. I do love wearing fur clothing, because fur clothing protects you much greatly against the cold. Not so much against the rain, because it will actually absorb rain when it actually falls on you. As well, leather protects you against rain, but not so much against the cold. I think there is an in-betweeny one, but I'm not entirely too sure about that. I'm still off with my aim. There we go. How did I hit both of you then? I only wanted to hit one at a time. There we go. I love the arrows. They look so nice now. Anyway, let me collect my arrows back from these walls here. That's one thing I never actually understood either, is why, and that's Whiterun, why wolves and other creatures can actually have gold on them. That to me just feels a little out of place. I can understand having, I don't know actually what they could really have. There's definitely a fight going on down here. I should probably avoid that, though it does seem like, no, one person hasn't died yet. Let's grab out my bow just in case we might have to interact with them. He's coming after me as it is anyway, so interacting it is. Thank God that went a lot quicker than I was thinking it would. Okay, so we are feeling a little thirsty and a little tired, but hopefully once we get to Whiterun we're able to sleep. Even though we can't sleep out the wildlife, obviously it's nothing too big, and actually it would save us a little bit of money that we don't necessarily have on us. Let's drink this water here. There we go. Perfect. And Novice Ice Mage, what do you have on you that I could actually take? I mean, these don't really help me too much when it comes to exposure protection, but yeah, it's not exactly the worst thing to have either. I mean, faster magic regeneration could come in handy at some point. Knapsack, because I do have a bandolier mod. Oh, you have a wood kind of sack. It is worn, but it's better than not having anything at all. So I will actually take that. So, the bandoliers mod allows for me to have different parts of baggage, basically, all over my body. Actually, I think, can you still see that one? I don't think I actually have it equipped anymore. I did have a bag on my right side. Actually, it might be unequipped right now, because I do have the big backpack on my back here. There was one called... Oh, I must have actually gotten rid of it. Don't know why I would have done that, but it's gone nonetheless anyways. Yeah, you can buy different types of baggages and have them on different parts of your body, depending on, obviously, which one you've actually picked up. A Daedra Heart's worth so much. Yeah, see, I already have a backpack with BradPhusion. That's kind of what it looks like once you have everything necessary. It looks rather nice, I'm not gonna lie. But I like my backpack. My backpack looks rather nice, and you can now see the axe on the back now that I've actually got an axe. That's one thing I love about the details of this, and the fact that it just changes like that so dynamically when I have the right items, obviously. But yeah, okay, so this is turning out rather well. I haven't died yet. I haven't really gotten close to dying yet. I've taken out my targets mostly from a distance with my arrows that I have, which I think is rather nice. So we are getting close to Whiterun now, and then we should be able to find the book somewhere. I don't know where it is. I know it's... Oh, fudge me! You scared the crap out of me. You look creepy as hell. What was I gonna say now? My mind's now completely blank because that scared the crap out of me. Yeah, I know the book is in Whiterun. I don't know where it's in Whiterun. So the only few locations that I can think of it being is either in Dragon's Reach or Dragon's Keep, whatever you want to call it. I think it's Dragon's Reach. This is how long it has been since I last played. I think it could be in there simply because the mage maybe might have a book of sorts or books on the topic. I can't really think of any other places that might have like a library or something. So maybe the general store might have it. What else would have it? The armory obviously wouldn't. Maybe I don't know. I can't really think of too many places that might actually have the book. But I think the next episode after this one will be focused primarily on acquiring said book and studying the book in great detail to try and figure out where exactly the treasures are. Now again, I haven't read the book. I don't know what's in the book. All I know is that there's a book there for me to find, and the book will contain information on where to find the forbidden legend in quotation marks, because I don't know if it's one treasure, multiple treasures, or anything like that. And there's something going on. Oh right, the fight with the troll. I always forget that one. I completely... Yay, I helped out so much there. Congratulations for me. I helped...
Fight with us and you'll have stories
Well,
to tell.
that's taken care of.
Come up to your
No
master.
thanks to you.
Thank you.
Worth anything in a fight.
I tried my best.
Another milk. And as companions,
Oh.
our
Yeah, sorry, I didn't even
outsider,
notice that they
eh?
were fighting at
An
first.
order of warriors.
But
we are brothers and sisters.
I wouldn't mind
in
joining
honor.
the Brotherhood.
And we
A
show up to
werewolf
solve
wouldn't be
problems
too
if
bad
the
of a
coin is
perk
good
to
enough.
have. Spoilers, sorry, but
Not for me
let's
to
not
say.
be
The old
too
man,
insulting
if you go
towards
to
them.
heaven,
But anyways, moving on from them now. He doesn't have anything good on him, does he? No, he's empty.
Come to your Basker.
Yes, I heard what you're saying. I'll come there eventually. So I think before I end this episode, I might actually set up a small little camper tent just so you guys get the idea of what exactly I'm talking about when it comes to this survival element. It's really kind of cool, and hopefully I won't have to go to too many cold environments, so I think that would be really nice to actually show you guys how that becomes, because that is actually rather dynamic as well. Also, another limitation, now that I'm actually here, is that I can't fast travel. The only form of fast traveling I can do is using these carts and carriages. Now, this is because it kind of fits in with the lore, obviously being able to take a cart all the way there makes sense, but I won't be able to just instantly somehow teleport there, even though that does cost hunger and thirst. I can't, obviously, I don't want to do that. That just feels like it would break the immersion far too much. But let's just take what we have here, because I realize that this table is full of stuff I can take for whatever reason, but he shouldn't mind too much. Coin purse, thank you so much, sir, or chicken. Okay, so let's go over to the Gajit, and I'll actually set up my camp near them, because I think it'd be kind of cool looking. Because obviously it kind of fits in and everything. But also, just before I end here as well, I want to show you guys a few of the skills I can actually do now. So if I go over to magic here, and you can actually see if I go here, I have something called survival skills and weather sense. Weather sense kind of displays exposure, wetness, and the condition of the weather around me. Obviously the title is rather self-explanatory. And survival skills is actually really cool. So if I use this right now, I can build the campfire if I have the right resources on me, which is basically just wood fire or camp wood. Craft item, I can craft basic items whilst I'm here, given that I can actually set up the right things, I believe. Harvest wood, if I have an axe, obviously this will take up time, therefore taking up like fatigue, thirst, hunger and stuff goes into account, as it does skip time whilst I'm doing this. View status and inspect equipment works rather basically as well, so I can see what my exposure is and such, which I think is rather cool. I do love this mod and this premise here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my tent in a nice little location just over here, and you guys can actually see how this looks. So we have a small fur tent with bedroll. Nothing too spectacular, but you can upgrade to bigger tents, obviously. And again, the material of the tent comes into play with how well it protects you against certain elements. Again, fur is great against snow, leather is great against rain, so on and so forth. But let's drop this right now, and let's pitch our tent. So you can see where exactly we can put the tent. So let's put the tent somewhere, like, I guess there's perfect. You know, that's fine enough for me. Good enough to relax on anyways. It does look a little weird being slightly out of place and such, but it kind of blends in, I think. And if I wanted to, I feel comfortable. Thank you, game. If I go into here, I can actually turn on my lantern if I so desire, which I think just, it's so nice being able to just do all this random stuff. But anyways, I'm going to leave this episode here by resting off to sleep, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Let me know what you guys think about the series over this premise. Don't spoil anything. Don't say anything about the Forbidden Legend. Again, because I want to do this dynamically myself and try to figure this out just via referring to lore, which I think is an interesting thing to do in itself. But anyways, Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Stay awesome, everyone. I'm gonna rest now in my little bed. Let's lie down. Perfect.